The fear around squatting and lunging and knees or even back, but ultimately squatting and lunging has a lot of fear for a lot of people for a lot of reasons. And so how do we take away some of that fear when we know that we've got to be able to get down and up off of a chair for the rest of our lives if we want to maintain our independence and if we are ever to fall? A lunge is the base of how we're going to be able to get on up. So it's absolutely a critical move. We work through a few different things. And the first thing I do is, honestly, I don't worry about the actual squat or the lunge itself. And I groove patterns that unconsciously start to build confidence within some of those movements itself, right? And so the first one that I really like to focus on is just giving them a single arm press. And a lot of times this is with a band, with a cable machine, whatever the case may be, but we focus on this split stance position. And I have both feet, it's almost a staggered stance. Both feet are completely flat initially, and then they're just focusing on the press. And it's going to turn on a lot of that stability for someone that is maybe on the weaker side or deconditioned as they're building it on up. And eventually I want to go to the toe, which works out really great. Then I can be like sink down just a little bit into it. And now we're just slowly building some confidence in this ability to create stability. And that's usually where a lot of the fear is I'm going to hurt my knees again, or I'm going to experience a pain that I once had, or I'm not going to be able to walk tomorrow. And so we want to take that away by slowly building that up. So I'll work a lot of single split stance positions from that regard. The other thing that I want to do too is I'll work a 3-point row, whether it's with a kettlebell, whether it's a dumbbell, but now I'm teaching how to get down low. Yes, I'm teaching how to ultimately hinge while doing it, but I'm loading a little bit of that glute and that quad as I go with that movement pattern. So I'm getting into that down position. You can also do it where I use one foot up. And a lot of times I won't do a box this big, but if I have a good solid shoulder base, I'm gonna be like squeeze that glute, right? And I'm gonna have you overhead press. And so now we're just creating, again, an unstable position initially in all of these things to build some confidence that we have more stability than we realize. Once we've gone through this couple of sessions and we haven't done any type of falling, like one of our biggest fears, or the knees haven't hurt, back hasn't hurt, we're starting to win some confidence back within those movement patterns. And now we can push towards a little bit more. Second thing that I absolutely love to do, as long as shoulders, again, are capable of doing so, is I'm going to go with a push press, because I'm going to teach how to push down just a little bit and come back up, push down just a little bit and come back up. So I'm slowly teaching that body the ability to absorb force and to produce force through more of an elastic style. Yes, it is more muscularly driven through the legs to actually get the body on up. Now, if they do have any kind of pain within that, then we're obviously going to skip that movement. I'm also going to have them on the ground, if possible, depends on your clientele, and then getting back and down and up. Because if I have them even using a bench or a box to get down all the way, at least I can do some movement patterns. And maybe from here, I can actually have them in what would be very similar to the depth of a full squat, where I've got this 90-degree hip angle, 90-degree angle at my knee, 90-degree-ish at my ankle. Obviously, I know these aren't going to be what a true squat is. But maybe I can build up some actual capacity within this. And so if it's a mobility drill, well, maybe it's from here, and I extend the legs, and I bring them back down. And I extend the legs, and I bring them back down. And I'm building some of the quads, but I'm teaching the leg, obviously, at the knee, how to fully flex and then how to extend back on through. Not fully flex, but you get what I'm saying. And then from there, maybe it's just holding, right? So maybe I'm just holding within this. I'm going to feel those hip flexors on fire. I'm going to feel those quads actually start to engage as I'm going from there. And if I can have it so that they are capable of getting back down and up, at least I'm building some of that strength, even if it is using the rig to support me. Now, when it comes time to actually doing the squat, that's where I love to use an assisted tool. So whether it's your suspension straps that you have, TRXs, jungle gyms, any of those things, and I can say just literally hold on as tight as you possibly need to and sit back down on into it and drive on up. And then eventually I want you to use less and less pressure. But if I give them the confidence to fully hold, that takes away the fear that I won't be able to get up. And that's usually what it is. I'm going to get down, my knee's going to pop. Or I'm going to get down and it's going to hurt. Or I'm going to not get down and not be able to get back up. And so ultimately that's what we're trying to do. And then we can focus on the things that really work. Where are you feeling this? Great, we can make the adjustments, to the feet, to the hips, wherever we want them to be. We can focus on how we want full foot pressure and what that looks like. And we can give them some awareness tools. The other thing I like to do with this is I tell them to stare at their feet, whether it's from here, whether it's from giving them a hat field. And I want them initially to look at their feet. Because a lot of times it comes down to, I don't know what my feet and my knees are doing and where they're going. And so there's this fear response that is happening. So they can hold on to some actual hat fields, a barbell, whatever you have within your setup, to be able to come all the way on down that is safe for them, and then come back on up, and they can pull themselves up if they need to. So we're giving them these areas of safety. I can focus on what I need to see initially as I'm going. I can also then progress this to a box or use a box simultaneously. So if it is a client that is really insecure, I can bring some pads, or I can have this box as high as possible, and I can have them sit down, and then I can have them use these to help pull themselves back on up. And then eventually we can just work on, hey, control that eccentric, control that down, and then use your help to get back on up. And we're building still some muscle through that entire pattern as we are going. Same thing is going to apply when I'm ready to do a lunge. I'm going to have one foot back. I'm going to usually start with this split squat position and have them go down and up. And then I'm going to do the same thing from my Hatfield. And I may just have a stack of pads. And I'm like, you're going to go down knee to pads. And so we're not going down that far at all. And then we may start the other one where I'm going to start on the bottom and I'm going to push up, and then I'm going to just let the body come right back on down to those pads. And so it's just taking away that fear because I'm holding on to something, I am stable, and I can build that pattern. Now, if they do still have some pain that this being triggered, be like, oh, okay, cool. Let's shift your weight back. Since it's in the front knee, let's elevate that front foot. Grab a plate, grab a riser, put it underneath that front foot. So if I'm from this position, and I'll just pretend this dumbbell is a nice riser, don't try this at home, but ultimately if that foot is here, I've shifted my weight back. Especially if I'm holding on to something, there's less pain and pressure, I should say, that is going to be going through that front foot, and then we're going to be able to come back on up. Now, if it's just one-sided like this, what's nice is even if then we switch and we go to the back foot, then when we put the back foot on the riser, now we tilt our weight forward onto the other knee. And so we're constantly just shifting how much weight and pressure is going to be applied to that knee itself. The last thing I like to do simultaneously throughout all of this is focus on giving them a TKE, terminal knee extension, usually within the warm-up. And what's nice about this is I'm teaching the leg to actually fully extend through the knee. Let me do it this way so you can see better. But ultimately, I'm driving that knee on in. I want to get full extension all the way on through. I get that nice flex of the quad, which is great. And I'm teaching that ability to let it bend and contract. So I'm building some confidence and some strength through the stability of the knee. And then when I'm ready to do so with a much thicker band, maybe even two, depending on so, I can have them actually get to this lean back position and maybe do a Spanish squat. Yes, this band is not enough. You see me forward leaning. But ultimately, that would be kind of my last caveat move before I advance into something a little bit more weighted and beyond. All right, so give those things a try and build some confidence back, and you'll get your clients squatting and lunging in no time.